So what's your name and age?
My name is Pat Hanley. That's my full name. I was supposed to be named James Patrick, and the doctor forgot the James.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I'm just Pat.
Uh,
I was born in 1934.
so how did you come to be in Quilcene?
Well, I couldn't find a job I liked. I worked on the pipeline construction for a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy I worked for there on that he retired or quit or did something, and I didn't want to work for some of those other guys, so I had an uncle out here, three uncles out here. So I came out here and I went to work helping my uncle in Mossy Rock,
Oh, no kidding.
and he's a timber faller, and I knew a little bit about it. So I helped him. Then I came up to Shelton and went to work for my other uncle up there, setting chokers behind a cat in a big arch.
Wow. What year was that you came out here?
I think it was around 55 or 56.
Okay. And you weren't born in Washington, right?
No, I was born in Arkansas on Uncle land that the Hanleys homesteaded in 1830, I think.
No kidding. Have you still got ties back there, like the homestead? Is it still?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
That one hunk of that 200 acres of it has never been sold since it's homesteaded.
No kidding.
The other 200 had been sold and bought back.
Wow. So now, how'd that work back then? Did your uncles just say, "Hey, Pat, get on up here, and we got a job for you"?
I know I just did the opposite. I came up here and asked them for a
Yeah.
job.
Oh, so when you were working with your uncle that was falling timber, was he working for somebody or doing it
He is
himself?
contract cutting.
Okay.
Yeah. He is a good man. Well, he's a big, strong guy, too. I thought I was pretty strong. I was 19 years old or 20 or something. I could hit a wedge pretty hard, but shoot,
Nothing compared to him, huh?
no.
Wow.
He's a strong man, and he knew how to do it, too. He fell timber for Simpson when they used the old Swede fiddles, and him and his partner were head fallers there most of the time.
Wow.
When Camp Goby.
Yeah.
And Camp Grisdale.
So they primarily fell timber up there for those camps, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. And did he ever talk about how long he did that for?
No, but I have a pretty good idea for several years.
Yeah. Did he ever come out of the high country and work down the lowlands, or did he stick with the Simpson Company until they closed those camps?
No, he didn't stick with them.
Yeah. Wow. So your uncle that had the cat with the arch, who is he logging for?
Various ones, but I think one of them was Don McKay. He's a logger in Shelton. And he logged some for Simpson.
Would that have been Don McKay? Did that later turn into McKay and Sons?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Huh. Now, your other uncle that you talked about, now what was he doing up here?
He worked in the woods for a while, but he was a sheriff for a while and did several different things.
Isn't that something? So now, how did you make the jump from being a chokerman behind the dozer to driving log truck? Because that was the next.
Yeah. Well, my uncle had trucks, so Shelton had some trucks, had 3 or 4 trucks. And he had a driver that quit or didn't make it. He says, "Get in that truck and drive it." So I did.
Now, did you have to get a license to do that, or
no? Back in those days, if you had a driver's license, you could drive anything.
Regular old driver's license. Wow.
This CDL business came by later.
Yeah. Because let's see here. It was called a chauffeur's license way back when, right?
I don't know when it ever was, but not in my lifetime.
Yeah.
You just had a driver's license.
Wow. Isn't that something else?
I know in some places they called it a chauffeur's license.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know in Washington if they ever did. Maybe. I don't know.
Do you remember where you were at, like that first load that you hauled, what it was off of, what kind of truck you were driving?
Yes. I was driving a 1950, well, 51 GMC.
All right.
And this was a big truck.
Yeah.
It had a 671 Jimmy.
Oh
in
my
it.
goodness.
That was a horse back in
And
those
that was
days.
the powerhouse, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
wow.
they call it a million miler. If it's in a GMC truck, it was a million miler. You couldn't buy it to put in a Kenworth or anything else. If you bought one for them, you had to buy a industrial motor and fit it into them.
Sure.
But the GMC, the only one you could put that million miler in was a GMC truck.
Wow.
Isn't
that something else?
Oh, it's noisy.
Oh, I bet. I'm surprised you can even still hear after driving that for a while.
I'd never wore ear protection on anything, and I don't know. I'm a weird duck. I still hear good as I ever did.
Wow.
And I'm 89 years old.
Holy doggone. You're looking good for being 89. I would have guessed a lot younger than that.
Everybody does.
Yeah. So that first truck now, with that Jimmy, did you have a 5 and a 3, 5 and a 4?
5 and a 3.
Okay. Wow.
And before that, I did haul a load or two on an old white, 51 white.
Uh-huh.
But this GMC that I drove. Oh, I was one of the big dogs on the block then.
Yeah.
It was a 52, I believe, or 3. I can't remember exactly.
And you, now at that point in time, did you guys have engine brake, Jake brakes?
No.
It was water brakes. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or you didn't have anything.
Yeah. Now, how many times a day did you have to fill up them water tanks?
Well, depends on the haul and the size of the tank, but usually only twice a day, maybe.
Okay.
And you had to make sure you kept all the little pipes that ran back there on plug cut. It was a pain.
Wow. And that first, like when did you pretty much just jump in that truck and then you were a steady log trucker after that for a while?
For a while, yeah, for quite a while.
And who were you hauling for then?
I believe we were hauling for Simpson at the time. I was. My uncle was logging for Simpson. I was driving for him.
Were you hauling out of the high country for them, or were you down lower?
No, that's down lower.
Okay. And you mentioned at some point you started driving for Buck Mountain. Was that quite a bit later on?
A little bit later on, yeah. I'd driven for a couple outfits around Shelton.
Okay.
And I heard that Buck Mountain needed a driver, so I came up here.
Yeah.
A guy named Al Hubert was driving the truck. Nobody thought he'd ever quit, and he did, and I got that job.
Al Hubert.
Yeah.
And was Hubert from Quilcene area then?
Well, at that time he was. I don't know where he came from to here.
Sure. Now, you were a company driver for Buck Mountain for how many years, you think?
Probably a couple.
Yeah.
Then I bought my own truck, such as it was.
Do you remember who you got that first truck from?
Yeah. Auger Sandberg.
No kidding.
Yeah. Out of Shelton. Or Port Angeles.
Auger the Logger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that first truck?
Is a K11 International with a GBS Cummins in it, which is 426 cubic inch diesel, which is very big.
It's not very big.
And it put out 150 horsepower.
Wow. Because I think, let's see, a 335 Cummins is an 855 cubic inch motor, so that's pretty small.
It is. It's tiny.
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't much good either.
So now when you bought your first truck and struck out on your own, who were you seagulling for around here?
Buck Mountain mostly.
Okay.
And sometimes Walt Kelly.
Yeah.
And Irwin Kelly.
Yeah.
And just about everybody had a log around here. But
wow. did you do any hauling up the Duckabush when Walt was building that roadway up there? Or?
Yeah, Merritt Creek.
Yeah.
Hauled a lot out of that Merritt Creek
Wow.
area.
Wow. Did you guys make it all the way up to the, past the saddle up towards Cabin Creek?
We almost hooked up to the Cabin Creek Road.
Yeah.
Didn't quite get there.
Yeah, okay. Do you remember who logged that back there above Cabin Creek?
Is either Walt Kelly or Buck Mountain, I think.
Yeah, okay. My goodness.
Irwin logged up in there some, but I don't exactly remember where.
Now, okay, speaking of Irvin, when he had some property up on Mount Jupiter, it's about 50 acres.
Yeah.
But I think he catlogged. Did you end up getting in on that?
No.
Okay. How many years did you do the self-employed log trucker job for?
Oh, I did it quite a while. I bought a new truck in '72.
Okay, so that'd be the Peterbilt that Dennis drove?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you ever drive that yourself?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
But I got the wanting to go to logging, so I started doing a little of that.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon I got a tower.
So, okay, so you drove your brand new Pete for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then how did you find Dennis to drive it for you?
He was in high school when I first met him, and I was parking my truck up at Port Angeles out at Truck Town.
Oh, yeah.
And he hung around there washing trucks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd let him go out and with me and drive. He good solid kid. When he graduated from high school, I put him driving.
I'll be doggone.
I think I might have been the first. I believe it was the first driving job he had.
Huh. Wow, isn't that something? So now, so Dennis got in the truck, and then did you start on your own logging, or did you right away have a partner?
I think Gary and I started. Gary Phillips and I started somewhere along in there.
Sure.
And Gary was just kind of he just worked for everybody. He's kind of a camp inspector.
Yeah, okay.
And but I could always tell that he was smart. And Gary was pretty doggone smart. And he had a lot of this stuff figured out that these other guys never did figure out.
Sure.
And he and I went together. I was just going to hire him as a hook tender. And I thought, I asked him, I said, Gary, you want to go in partners with me? I had an old Mercier shovel already. I'd traded it around for, and a little dink tower. We got a little better tower. And then we got a BU 84. We started out with I can't remember the name of the thing.
The Edco?
Edco, yeah. A 75-foot Edco. And it was okay, but it had a BU 75 on it. Skagit. And they wasn't very good for shotgunning.
Oh, yeah.
You probably ain't interested in this, but the shaft and the skyline or the main drum turns inside of it when it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, when you pick that thing up for shotgunning and tighten it up, it wears that
the bearings out.
The bearings in the shaft and the drum out pretty quick because it didn't have bearings. It had bushings.
It was more meant for high lead.
Yeah, it would high lead forever.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But when you pull that up tight like that,
it doesn't like that.
It must put a little bit of. Well, it does put stress on the main shaft.
Yeah, I'm interested in it all.
Yeah,
because all these fun little things. Yeah, it's all interesting to hear. So
yeah.
So now let's back up a little bit. So you did some horse trading, and you had that Bucyrus. And when you started doing your own thing, got into logging, and you met Gary and talked to him about being a partner with you. How old would Gary have been? Oh, well, actually, okay, let's go further than that. How old do you think you and Gary both were at that point in time?
I don't know. I'm quite a bit older than Gary. But heck, when Gary came to work for me, I don't think he's still in his 20s.
Okay.
I got that first old bit shower with the ice water on it. You know that. That was an Irvin Kelly.
No kidding.
Yep, he had that. He never could get it to load logs.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the problem? He just not really good with a line machine, or was it something wrong with the machine you fixed? Or
I didn't do much to it. I got it running and everything working. I could load logs to beat heck with it.
Wow. How long did you use that before you finally moved it on?
Oh, not too long. I started two sides, and George Hansberry ran it for me on one of the little sides.
Because you guys, now you had a small side with was it a SJ4 Skagit that?
We did for just it wasn't hours, it just a short time, but
Sure.
we got that. When we were actually running two full side, we were running the BU 84 with a cat on it. And we had that 739 with that K-line Cummins on it. And both of those are log getters. Okay. The BU 84 was kind of fragile.
Okay.
They took a BU 80, which is made for about a 300, and stuck that big motor on it, either that big cat or that K-line.
Oh, sure.
And it stressed.
Yeah, it didn't like that.
But boy, they'd get logs.
So, do you kind of remember maybe what year that would have been that you and Gary went into business? Because about the furthest back I can find was around early 1975.
That's about what I got in that book there.
Okay.
That's about when we started, I think.
Now, do you remember you and Gary's first job?
Yeah. Circle Pass.
Up in Brennan, yeah.
Right above Brennan.
And now, okay.
We called it Circle Jerk.
It was one of those places, huh?
Yeah.
Now, that was a job, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it the Brodersons that were supposed to do that job originally, and something happened where they couldn't get in there, or they didn't have a tower at the time or something like that?
I don't know about that, but they did log up there for Walt Kelly.
Okay.
Bill Broderson and Diet and Ray.
Yeah.
I hauled for him.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. Bill Broderson, the most fun guy I ever worked with.
What was it about him that was so fun? Just character?
He's just a character.
You got anything in particular that comes to mind when you think of him?
Oh, I'd have to think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
But
what did he do most of the time on the landing?
Load logs.
Okay. Yeah.
He had that old Northwest.
Oh, okay.
And it had a little, I think it was a little Detroit diesel in it, and they put a 4-speed transmission in it.
Oh, wow.
Boy, you could speed that sucker up. But he was good on it. Bill was a good operator and good loader. Diet worked in brush and Bill ran the landing.
Yeah.
I'd haul a lot for them.
When you'd go and haul for those guys, how many trips a day were you doing, you think?
Well, depending on where you were, but I get 3 or 4.
And were you dumping in the canal back then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dumping down in Brennan.
Okay.
At that time.
That would have been Pleasant Harbor?
No, right there at Brennan, right across from the motel.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I did dumping some in what you just named.
Oh, Pleasant Harbor?
Pleasant Harbor, but I was hauling for Walt Kelly
Okay.
then. He took a good job out of Merhood up there. Boy, it was nice wood.
Wow. How far back there were you guys?
You know where Murhut Creek is?
Yeah.
That's where we were.
What the doggone. You're back up there a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Came down to Ducklebush.
Yeah. I've many a year driving up and down that road looking for deer and looking around
Yeah.
and four-wheel driving it and thought, man, these guys driving log truck had it rough back then. Holy smokes.
Yeah. I didn't think it was so bad. It was actually a pretty good road.
Was that something you guys or the logger maintained or the Forest Service?
Well, Kelly built it.
Yeah, okay.
And the logger most of the time maintained it. The Forest Service did do some of it later.
Now, when you guys, so going forward a little bit here, when you and Gary had the business established and you had your first job at 75 up there on Circle Pass, how long did you use the Cyrus and that Edco before you got a bigger tower and got a newer loader and things like that?
I don't think we did more than a year or two. I don't remember exactly, but I know I didn't run the Cyrus very much longer. We had to build a mound up for it to sit on.
Sure.
So you turn loose the logs up.
Oh,
yeah. It was, and it worked just fine. But we got a bigger one. We got another one that was worse. We got a Lorraine.
Oh, a 60.
No. It wasn't not. If this was maybe it wasn't a Lorraine. What was that thing? But it was a piece of junk.
And it wasn't a hydraulic machine?
No, it was a line machine. I know that as well as I know my name, but
it'll come to you, I'm sure.
It will.
So
yeah.
you ran that Edco and the Cyrus just long enough to figure out you wanted something a little bit different.
Yeah. Then we bought that BU-84.
Yeah.
That's a little hot rod yarder.
Was that thing brand new when you got it?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Now, at what point did you guys get away from the BU-84? Because at some point in time in the early 2000s, when I was working for Shane, he had the 737. I thought that was
739.
Okay, yeah.
That 739 was the one we bought to do that skyline job.
The Simpson ground? Okay.
Yeah. And we had that BU-84 for a long time after we had it. We ran two sides.
Now, you said you got that 739 for that job. Now, how long did you guys log up at South Mountain with that thing for?
South Mountain.
Up in Simpson ground?
Oh.
I had heard, and I could be totally wrong, but I had heard that it was Simpson had a Forest Service contract. It was like a lease type of thing.
It was. I called it. There. A lot of people called it the Forest Service is steel. They call it instead. It wasn't the. It had something like sounded like that, but they had made a special deal with Simpson.
Oh yeah.
And Simpson was the only one who could log up in that area.
Wow.
And they didn't have to bid on the sale. They put them up and they bought them.
Wow. That's really something.
Yeah, it was. But Gary and I logged the last of Simpson's old growth and the last of those Forest Service sales that they put up there. Wow. And we made money like crazy on that.
Oh, I bet.
I always said I could be a millionaire if I could make what he called Simpson to log.
Now, how long did it take for you guys to log that old growth up there for Simpson?
So we were there for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was a good job. Really good. They paid us this money and then we asked.
Oh, wow.
Gary, do you ever interview Gary?
Gary's the next one on the list, yeah.
Well, he can tell you more about it than me because he negotiated those jobs.
Okay.
And we got a good price for logging up there.
Wow. Now, when you guys came out of the Simpson High Country, did you start doing like private jobs for these places around here, like Rainier, for instance, or Pope and Talbot, or
We logged a little bit for Pope,
okay,
but man, we logged.
I remember talking to Dennis, and he was telling me a story about. I'm pretty sure, and Dennis, jump on here and comment if I'm wrong, but you guys, I thought were down in Morton area,
Yeah,
and he said you guys were in your Ford shop truck. It was you, Pat Chadwick, and
yeah.
Dennis, and Pat was riding in the middle. And he said when you guys were going through town, he played a joke on you two, and he bent down like he was tying his shoelaces, and it looked like you and Pat were riding next to each other, going down Main Street. and he said, for whatever reason, he said all the big loggers were in town. Dahlgrens were down
Yeah,
there.
they were.
And he said it was the silliest looking thing seeing these two guys going down the street riding next to each other in that shop truck. And was that sometime around the Mount St. Helens when you guys were down that way, or?
And we logged down there after Mount St. Helens, but I think that was before Mount St. Helens.
Okay, yeah. So, since we're talking about Mount St. Helens, what was that like logging down there after all that?
Well, I didn't think much of it. It was hard on equipment.
Yeah, I'd imagine that'd be a lot of wear and tear. And
It did. We had to redo a lot of stuff after we logged there.
yeah. Were you making enough off of that to where it was worth it with all the maintenance?
Yeah.
Huh.
We got logs.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. You can make money on most of the job if you get a log.
Yeah. Were you guys logging with the 84 down there?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long would you say you were on the salvage for that?
Less than a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Something like that.
Sure.
And Jerry may remember better than me, but it seemed like we wasn't there that long.
Now, when you guys got done like logging down there for the salvage and come back here to Quill, did you guys do any more Forest Service logging? Because I'm jumping around a little bit. Like for those of you that are watching this, the Simpson sale that Pat was talking about, that was late 80s, early 90s, and of course the Mount St. Helens was 1980.
Yeah.
But I saw some pictures that Dennis had of you guys logging out Daybob, Cove,
Yeah.
places like that.
We did a little of that for Pope and Talbot.
Okay.
Maybe we may have done a seaboard job out there. I'm not sure. Can't
Yeah.
remember. We logged the last Forest Service job out of this district and the Hoodsport district too, I think.
Really?
Last big sale.
Wow. Do you remember how many million board feet that would have been?
No. But there's in a million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long sales, like you were on it for more than a year?
Yeah, probably. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I did a lot of them.
Yeah. Maybe this is the same job. You guys were logging the front. I thought Bill Bolander was in there somewhere, and then Mankey and another logger all on the same road. And Mankey might have been way at the back.
They could have been. I remember us and Bolander were all getting close together.
Okay.
But I don't remember Mankey being in that close to us.
Yeah, and again, that might be. I've heard so many things over the years. You know.
I think they were up in the same area, but not.
Sure.
But Bolander, you could see one another's tower at times.
Okay.
Bill Bolander was one of the finest men you'll ever meet.
Mm.
Honest as the day is long, and the patience of Job.
So, do you have anything in particular? I mean, you say the patience of Job and being honest, but is there something in particular that sticks out about Bill?
Oh
because
boy.
I've heard stories about him from multiple people, and I wish that I could get somebody that worked closely with him that could kind of do
Talk to Diet.
and I have, and Diet actually, Diet talked a lot about Bill, and
Yeah,
actually so did Kenny Ackerman. Yeah.
yeah. They were both worked closely with Bill, especially what's his name?
Oh, Kenny.
Kenny. Yeah.
I think who was it now that was telling me? It was either Kenny or Diet was telling me about a time that they, um, I think they finished where they were working at, and then the whole crew went down to help Bill rig up a Skyline Road or something for that yarder of his. Because I don't know for certain, but I thought that he had a like a truck mounted yarder that was it was kind of a mom and pop, no cab, open air type of deal.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, and so
Bill had a Washington,
okay,
and it was a 730, not a 7, no,
well,
137,
yeah, okay,
and it was a good machine, but it is no comparison between a Washington tower
and
and a
Skagit,
Skagit tower. The yarders are equal,
sure.
but the towers, there's no comparison.
Hmm.
Skagit had that figured out so much better.
Hmm.
They had the guy line drums where
Sure.
you could flip a switch and free spool them. They had a brake on them,
Mm-hmm.
and you could just pull them out.
Sure.
And it was just easy to rig up compared to a Washington or Burger or any of the rest of them.
Interesting. I've only ever rigged up a Skagit. I've never been around a.
Well, Burger had to have a block and a bite on the guy lines.
Sure. Right. Right. Okay.
And that's just an extra big hunk of metal you got to screw around with.
When you knew early on you were sold on Skagits, was it Gary from hooking under or working under different machines that said, "Nah, we want to stay away from Washingtons or Burgers"?
I don't remember that,
Hmm.
but I know once you run them, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. Yeah. With the Forest Service sales, um, were the Foresters that you dealt with on these, were they pretty decent or were they a little cantankerous?
Most of them are okay.
Yeah.
I told one of them I was going to walk across. I don't know. I told him going to kick his ass. He was just being a jerk.
Yeah.
But the one in Hood Sport was really good, and old Shaky Pete here was good. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
they call him Shaky Pete, but he was a lot of guys didn't like him, but he was honest and he would kept his word.
Mm-hmm.
That one down in Hood Sport, that little wimpy little shit. He's just a jerk.
Yeah. Geez.
But he was all right. I'll have to give him credit. He stayed in absolute perfect shape.
Hmm.
And, you know, he hiked up those mountains just
Yeah.
all the time. And there's some women foresters came out. It was going to be foresters, and
Mm-hmm.
they came out with this Forest Service guy. I can't remember his name now. And when he went to look at it, he didn't look from the landing. He'd just take off down there. And these women went down there with him, and he came back up and just nothing flat. And they came up, was called on the radio, and then he asked him, "He wants to come down and get you?" And I asked him if he wanted to go down and get him. He said, "No, let's just let him walk out."
Oh no.
Boy, that's tough walking.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, how long did you have to work with that fella as the forester on your job down there? The whole time through?
Yeah, quite a while.
Yeah.
We finally kind of had a
Little meltdown.
no, not yeah, kind of a little bit, but he just finally figured it, and I figured him out. So
Oh yeah, okay. You guys were able to make it work.
oh yeah.
Hmm.
One of the best foresters I ever worked for was out of the Hood Sport district. His name was Bill something.
Yeah.
But he was he was reasonable, and if you did even made an effort to do the job right, well, you had no problem with him.
Yeah, okay.
He came up here to visit me one time.
No kidding.
Yeah. Bill. His wife was, I can't remember where she was couldn't hear or something.
Sure.
He brought her up too.
I'll be. How many years after working with him did he come up and visit?
Oh, probably a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you also you had some dealings with Ernie Nielsen somewhere along the way too, didn't you?
A little bit, but not
Yeah.
much.
Was it more of working in the same vicinity of one another or bidding on the same jobs, or how'd you know him?
Well, I lived out in Forks quite a while, but
Okay.
and I hauled logs for Ernie.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, but he helped Gary out up here on this skyline job, this long line job we have.
On Simpson ground?
No, up here on Forest Service on the Big Quill.
Oh, okay.
We had 5,000 feet or something out, maybe more than that.
Sure.
And he told us, he was a pro at that, Ernie was.
Yeah.
And he told us he was up there for some reason. And he told us what we could do and what we couldn't do. And he was right on the money.
Really? How far up Big Quill were you guys?
Oh, we were a little ways below Scar Pass.
Okay.
We took some nice timber out up there.
Were you guys shotgunning or did you have a motorized carriage back
We
then?
had both.
Okay. Huh. So do you remember what it was about that specific job that Ernie lent his expertise on?
Oh, it was a long line job, and
Mm-hmm.
we hadn't done one of those much. We
Okay.
did some, but he just gives a few pointers.
Sure.
I bet Ernie, he isn't alive anymore.
No, he passed on a little over a year ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, he was a tough little dude.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah.
Too good sometimes.
Yeah. He seemed like a real nice fella. When you hauled for him out there, do you remember where that was at? I hear about him having worked a lot on Owl Mountain and up on Octopus.
It's somewhere up in there.
Yeah.
A lot of country out there.
Oh, yeah. Gee whiz. So, was that kind of a flash in the pan, or did you ever haul steady for him?
No, I didn't haul steady for him, but I hauled out there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Out in Forks area.
Now, so you hauled out there, but then you guys also had some timber sales out that way. I remember hearing people talk about out there on Calico Creek or Pistol Creek or something like
We was
that.
up on Salduck there too.
Sure.
That was a good job. We had some pretty good jobs up in the Forks area.
And do you remember, were they pretty long jobs? Like, was it a long time you were staying out there for?
Oh yeah. Stayed out there quite a while.
Yeah. And was it such that you commuted out there and just lived out in Forks during the week and come back to Quill on the weekends then? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I did that a lot. I did it down in Morton area.
Mm-hmm.
And oh heck, all everywhere.
You were all over the place. Yeah.
I logged all the way from pretty close to the Canadian line down to Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
And as far east as Cle Elum.
Wow. Oh, right, because Stampede Pass was.
Yeah.
Now, talking about Stampede Pass, because I saw some pictures from that job.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever work out how that fire got started out in the unit?
Well, the Forest Service said they figured it out. They said that was during 1980 when that Mount St. Helens blew out and all that stuff was in the air.
Oh.
And they said it shorted out that line. It's a big power line.
Sure.
And he said that thing shorted out through that sand or that silica, what it is.
You're kidding me. Really?
Down to that unit we had cut.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Forest Service finally figured out.
Wow.
I don't know whether that's true or not.
I never would have even guessed.
I wouldn't either.
Did it damage any of your equipment?
No.
Wow.
We got it. We were just lucky. We were close to it when we got up there, the flames was coming right up through the grapple on my shovel. Wouldn't have been long to burn through that hole, and then it should have been a big torch.
Oh, gee. Were you able to salvage any of the timber off of that, or was it?
Well, we
pretty badly.
couldn't, but I guess somebody did because they made us quit logging there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But well, it's a good show too, and we had a pile of logs. I had trucks coming that
Oh,
morning.
no. Wow.
I probably got 25 loads that day.
Oh, wow. Do you remember much about the different guys that have come and gone on your cruise?
Oh gosh. Yeah, a lot of them.
What who stands out of all the different people? Because
Shane Rolfe was one of
yeah,
them. He's a good logger. And Tom Ritchie
okay,
and Chad worked for me all the time. Chadwick.
yeah. So did Pat pretty much run yarder for you the whole time he worked for you, or did he do kind of everything?
No, Pat Chadwick.
Mm-hmm.
He run yarder.
Mm-hmm.
And he went, did something. We had another guy come up. Name was Red something. Just,
Yeah, there's been a lot of people. How did you find Shane and Tom?
they brought them out of Port Angeles. I had
Yeah.
a hook tender coming from out of there. Joe Duckett was one of the hooks.
I've heard stories about Joe. He's kind of legendary.
Yeah, he's a good logger.
And who did he work for before he come and work for you?
I don't know all those PA loggers.
Yeah. Okay, so I remember seeing a picture of Shane pulling guy lines out on a buncher pile job you guys did with the 84.
Yeah,
And I think it was about 1984 or 5.
could be.
Up Palo Alto.
Yeah, yeah. We bunched one unit up there. Kelly bunched it for us.
Okay.
And
so is that kind of the start of when Shane came and worked for you, or was it a little bit earlier than that, you think?
he worked for us a while before that.
Okay.
He's somewhere in that neighborhood, though, because he was just a pup when he came up there.
Sure. Yeah, he looked real young, like maybe early 20s.
Hop up, Ab.
So now,
Hand me that book over here.
yeah,
I might be able to find a picture of him in there.
yeah.
I'm
Here
pretty sure there is.
we're looking at. We've got the files here.
I was just looking here a little bit ago, and I saw some pictures of those guys. This is 1975. This page is.
I'm looking forward to taking some pictures of that for.
Well, you can take it with you and do it if you would like.
Oh yeah, I'll have to give that some serious thought. I feel funny taking people's pictures back home and having all the memories in one spot. But
I trust you.
Okay, good.
That to do what you say. Here's I had my truck hooked onto this big house, moving it.
Where was that at?
Right down here, the one Elmer Renskers lives in.
Okay.
I moved that from down by the fish hatchery down there up to where it's sitting now.
Did you have to shut down 101 for that?
No, we didn't. We should. There it is, hooked right up to that truck.
Yeah. Wow.
There's Elmer Renskers and Red Cook and me and little Dutch.
Oh, Qualm?
Quam.
Wow.
And they was a crew.
Wow.
Oh boy.
So Pat, when did you and Gary get out of logging then? You remember what?
Oh, Gary. I don't remember. Gary quit long before I did.
Okay. So he would have gone on to get the quarry started there.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you kept one of the yarders and kept going?
Yeah.
And
I kept the BU-84.
Okay. Now, do you remember who you had for a crew when it was just you and the 84? And
I had Chadwick running yarder.
Yeah.
And Shane hooking.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think George Hansberry with Chasen.
Okay.
And after that, it's Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny had a Kenny name from Port Angeles, one of the rigging slinger.
Now, where does Dan Mortar fit into your guys' company? Because he worked for you.
Yeah, he worked a long time. He tended hook for us. He just tended hook for me for quite a while.
Was he working on the which side?
He worked on my side, the 84.
Okay.
Joe Duckett was tending hook on the 739.
Okay.
Best I can remember him and Gary.
You remember how long Dan Mortar worked for you?
Oh shit, probably 5 years.
Okay.
Maybe more.
And how about Joe?
He probably only worked 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Do you recall? I remember seeing one of these photos from you guys out Daybaugh Bay. I think about 1981, and Bob French and Tom French are cutting.
Yeah, and Hodge.
And I didn't know Hodge was out there. Okay.
I think he was.
But it makes sense because him and Bob were partners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now do you remember, you had one of the Love boys working for you.
Yeah, Mike Love.
Yeah. Was he there for a while working for you?
Yeah, he worked for us for a long time.
And what was his job description there? Was he chasing or working the rigging?
No, he was setting chokers, slinging rigging, and sometimes he hooked there for a while.
Oh, cool.
There's me and George going up a tree. That bottom picture.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm looking forward to taking some photos of this album. This is cool.
Well, you can take it home with you.
Gosh, that's neat.
Yeah. And George Hansberry, he worked for us for a long time. Hell, he can't even hardly walk now.
I've tried to get him to do an interview with me, and
he wouldn't do it, I bet.
No, he says, no, I'm not into that.
You're lucky you got me to do it.
I know, but I worked on you for almost 3 years, didn't I?
Yeah.
And now, okay, something else I'm curious about. Did Stacy Corning work for you too?
No, not very much. He had a little SJ8. He logged a little bit for us.
Okay, just picking up corners, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And was that something was he just kind of, I don't know, sort of jippoing around where he would find guys as he needed them, or?
Yeah. There's a picture of old Gary in a nice log.
Oh, wow.
That's along on a wet week.
So you've got more pictures of the actual gear.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's something else. Where did you purchase your Skagits from?
There's a Stampede Pass place there. I mean, the snow was ass deep up there.
Why did you decide to hang it up logging? Just getting tired of it, or?
Well, no, I didn't ever get tired of it. It just got where it's hard to find a job for a big tower.
Yeah.
And there's a good picture of a tower rigged up there with a shovel and everything on it.
Wow. That's pretty neat.
Ken Spencer and Paul Colton. Paul Colton was a good logger. Pat Wilson, he's on some property right down the road here. They don't either one of them log now. And they were both good loggers.
Were they Quill boys, or?
No, Port Angeles. Best logger in the world came out of Port Angeles, I think.
That's what I've heard.
Here's a picture of Bill Langworthy, Little Bill.
Now, what did Little Bill Langworthy do for you all?
Oh, that's him and Mike Love.
Okay.
And Kenny Gall. I think, well, maybe I got those two mixed up.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's my glove there. That's Kenny Galla.
Hmm. What was it like working with Bob Phillips?
Old Bob?
Yeah.
I didn't have a bit of trouble, but some guys did. Boy, look how that truck shined up. That's pretty, isn't it? This parade logs.
Now, did you ever work with Charlie Springer?
Yeah. I hauled logs with him when he was still driving for Walt Kelly.
Hmm.
I didn't have any trouble getting along with him either. But I got along with most people.
Sure.
There's a honk.
Now, where's that at?
I think that's out toward Forks.
Okay.
I wouldn't fit between the bunks on the
Oh,
log.
wow. And there's your South Mountain job there.
Yeah.
Wow. Who stands out? If I said, Pat, who was the biggest character that worked there with you? Who would come to mind?
He's not alive anymore. Pat Chadwick, probably.
Hmm.
Oh, he was quite a character.
Just a jokester, or?
Yeah, that. Just a funny guy. This was down at the timber house.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, yeah.
I don't know who this dude is. I don't think he's any of our bunch. There's Joe Duckett.
Yeah, I'll be.
Shane. That's one guy who used to cut for us. He got into it. He's only about up to Don Kroll's waist, and he gave old Don all he could handle.
Really?
There's a little Bill. You remember him?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Boy, it don't seem right that he's gone.
Yeah, Bill Morris.
Yeah.
Well, how did it come to be that Pat Chadwick come and work for you?
He and I have been best friends for years, and we'd worked together for years and years, and he just did. Well, I just knew he would be, you know. There's this is my 737 I bought after.
Oh, okay.
After Gary quit and I quit, and I traded the 84 in on that one.
Okay, so that would have been the yarder that I worked under then.
Yeah, probably. That was a sweetheart of a yarder.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty great machine to work under.
It was. They don't get much better than that.
And did you buy that one used as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that a Ross company machine that you purchased that from?
Yeah, it was a Skagit.
Okay.
Here's me and some Forest Service girls.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is too much.
And Mike and Taylor when Taylor was a little boy.
Yeah, I remember Mike coming up and hauling logs for my folks with that truck.
That's one of my grandkids, I think. Yeah. That's Brandon.
Oh, there's Emery Winters.
There's old Junior Winters.
How long did Emery haul logs for you?
Oh, shit. Quite a while.
And at some point, didn't Bill haul logs for you with his Mac? Bill Bolander?
Yeah. Yeah, he hauled it quite a while. Off while, not very long. Got a 12-foot butt on it.
Is that around here?
I think it's out toward Forks. It's the little end's 8'6" diameter.
Holy smokes.
It says it's got 15,500 board feet on it.
How big of a log could that Lorraine of yours pick up?
Not that one. But I picked up Oh, shoot, big logs with it. It'd pick up a big log.
How big were the grapples on that thing?
64.
Okay. How much did the Lorraine weigh?
About 105.
Wow.
I hadn't looked through this book in so long, I about forgot what was in it.
What about, like best timber sale? Either for the view or the money or both or the
Well, for the
productivity?
nice logs and everything, I think maybe the best one might have been up in Forks there. Dang, we had this, it was just cream, great big logs.
Wow.
Wasn't very big sale, that one, part of it wasn't, but
Oh, okay. Do you remember where that was at in Forks?
yeah, up on Hunger Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Boy, we had trucks coming from everywhere to haul horse up there.
So by the time you traded in the 84 and got the 737, was that maybe early 90s, mid 90s?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then when did you get away from logging, or when did you uh, transition the company over to Shane? Was that maybe late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah.
Or? Okay. My vague recollection, working as a choker dog for Shane up Wainuchi Valley there,
Mm-hmm.
I remember you coming up to the job in your Cougars red Dodge Dakota
Yeah.
and checking the job out. We were just about done with it, and I think I was diving over the bank first thing in the morning, and you were coming up to say. And who of your old crew went over to work for Shane when he took that over?
Well, I can't remember the names of most of them,
Sure.
but some of them been with me for several years.
Okay.
I think old Tomer was one of them.
Yeah. It seems like
And the yarder engineer.
McAfee.
Yeah.
I can't remember his first name.
Bill.
Bill McAfee.
Yeah.
Where was Bill up from? Port Angeles area?
Mm-hmm.
I never met him. I never met Tomer either. I worked with his brother Ryan.
Yeah.
Tomer had come back and worked for Shane a little ways after I quit.
Yeah. Tomer's a good logger. He showed up for work, and I thought, what in the world is sent out here now? He had his hat tied on with a string.
Okay.
And we called it the Tomer string from there on.
The Tomer string.
Yeah. And his hard hat was beat up, but he's a good logger. I think he might have been just set jokers, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Now, did you have the John Deere, that 892 on your site? Okay.
I bought it. And it took the place of one of my old Lorraines when I got into that smaller timber.
Sure. I saw a picture in the Pope Resources company book, and I'm thinking this was about 1988 or 89, and there's a picture of an 892 grabbing logs on the landing under a Skagit Tower on Mount Jupiter.
That was it.
And I figured, I wonder, that's probably that's probably the Hanley side up there.
I think it was.
Because to me, it looked like it would have been on the Dosey Wallop side, staring out towards the canal.
Yeah.
Did you guys do quite a bit up there on Mount Jupiter?
Well, I was after Gary quit. I did some up there.
Sure. Yeah. And you think, like, out of all the different jobs that you've done and all the different things that you've done out in the woods, setting chokers, driving log truck, loading logs. I mean, I know you pulled guy lines down and rigged up towers and probably run it a time or two and all that. What was the most fun out of all that stuff that you did?
I think just an everyday logging when I was loading logs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of get to be a rush.
And you guys probably back for quite a while. Didn't use CB radios or any of that for communicating how much up front they need and weight, how much up back they
Yeah,
need.
yeah, they had it pretty much all the time I loaded.
Okay.
That was a pretty handy thing when they came out with those.
Yeah, instead of standing up on the back of the cab and
Waving.
Yeah. If there was any piece of advice you could give a young person as far as getting into logging or any of that, what would it be?
Well, no, I don't think anybody does like I did. My first day out, I wanted to own the damn outfit.
Yeah.
That's just the way I was built.
Yeah.
Same with the truck. I never was happy driving somebody else's truck. I wasn't happy until I got drive my own truck.
Yeah.
But everybody isn't built that way.
Sure.
I sold that outfit to Shane. I didn't sell it to him. I basically gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't make a living doing it.
Mm.
And Shane is a good logger, and he's a smart guy.
Mm.
I don't know what. Well, I do know. He couldn't get along with his crew good enough.
Mm.
Doug Reeves was that way. They really both were really smart guys, as good as anybody at their job. But they were hard to work for because they expected everybody to be that way. Everybody isn't that way.
Okay. Speaking of Doug, didn't he work for you guys quite a bit?
Oh,
mechanicing?
Yeah.
Did he ever log for you guys or log with you?
Well, he'd run the yard or sometime or stuff like that even.
Mm.
But he just mostly worked on our stuff.
Sure.
And he was good at it.
I've heard he was a crackerjack mechanic.
He was. He's just a natural born mechanic.
Now, did he pretty much work for you guys on your stuff? I mean, right out of high school there, or was?
Well, he wasn't too long out of high school. He went to work for us on our stuff.
He didn't work kind of as a company mechanic, did he? He
No.
was freelancing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He contracted it. You know.
How many of the local guys would you say that you've given jobs to over the years? I mean, there's been a lot of local Quill, Brennan, Chimicum guys that I can think of off the top of my head that have worked for you guys.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
It's got to be in the low hundreds, I would think.
I doubt there's that many.
Okay.
But there's quite a few. We had a lot of crew come out of Port Angeles too.
Okay.
Some of the best loggers in the world, I think, in that Port Angeles area.
And did they work for you guys all the way down the canal? Like, okay.
Oh yeah, we ran a crummy out of Port Angeles.
Oh yeah. And did they work for you out east even too? When you guys were doing the Stampede Pass job?
Oh, I think there's some of the guys who went over with us.
Okay.
And me and Chad worked on the landing all the time, and Hansberry worked in the rigging, and one of the Kenny something was worked chasing sometime and setting chokers.
Was he from around here?
He's from Port Angeles.
Okay.
And oh gosh, another one of the really good men I had came out from Port Angeles. I can't remember his name either.
You've got to have some funny stories about some of these guys that work with you. I mean, every logger I've ever worked with is a comedian and a clown at heart.
Yeah. Oh gosh, some of them ain't you couldn't put on the end. Oh, Chad and George Hansberry used to get into just doing dirty tricks on one another.
Yeah.
And Hansberry put his lunchbox right down below where the yarder cab is. And George did something to Chad. Chad peed on his lunchbox. Another time I was out there and the rigging crew got a mountain beaver,
Oh, yeah.
captured him, and told Gary, send your lunchbox, send Gary's lunchbox down.
Oh, man.
We got to put, somebody broke their watch or something. They said some big lie. And that beaver, mountain beaver in there, when old Gary opened his lunchbox, that sucker.
Oh, my gosh. Did you ever work around Clark Browning?
Yeah. I never worked with him before I ever started logging for myself.
Was he driving dump truck then, or was he log hauling?
Log hauling.
Mm.
I lived out in Fort for quite a while.
I can't remember if it was you. I think it might have been you that was telling me stories about the old boys would be climbing Elwha Hill in these gas-powered log trucks. And they would set the hand throttle and step out on the run boards, take a leak.
Yeah. Clark did. One of them messed up. I can't remember who it was. But I think that was coming down out of that road out of Clallam Bay, coming across. What is that? Some mountain.
Oh, Burnt Mountain?
Burnt Mountain, yeah.
Stepped out and the truck got away from him, you mean?
Well, it almost did.
Oh, yeah. How long did you work around Clark, you think?
Well, I hauled out there in the Forks area for several years.
Okay. So you'd see him quite a bit then.
Oh, yeah. He and I are pretty good friends.
Mm.
And Barry Swanson.
Yeah. What about Wolfie? Well, Doug Wills.
I never had much to do with him.
Okay.
I never hired him. I'm about the only guy in the logger in the country that never hired Doug.
Huh.
Good log hauler.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been retired for quite a while now, but he stuck out with me because I met him early on log hauling, and he would show up on the landing with a polo shirt, aviator sunglasses.
Yeah.
And he wore chinos, and he had loafing slippers on in his truck.
Yeah.
And when he got out to throw wrappers or what have you, he'd have a pair of boots he'd put on.
Yeah.
And the inside of his truck was always spotless.
Yeah.
Real classy guy. What was it like dumping down there, like in Brennan or Pleasant Harbor
Quilcene.
or Quilcene log dump
It
back in the...
You had to trip stakes every time. Other than that, it was a piece of cake.
Did you guys ever have many accidents with the trip stakes not doing something funny on you? And did those guys have to ban the loads every time?
No, we didn't used to. We dumped them loose.
Okay.
I guess in the latter year before I quit driving, or after I quit driving, they dumped them, wrapped them, and dumped them.
Do you kind of remember about when they quit taking logs at these different dumps here along the canal?
Yeah, it's probably in the early 90s, maybe.
Okay.
Heck, we used to have dumps all up and down the canal.
Right, there was the ones that I know of anyway is Jorstead Creek, of course, and the one you talked about in Brennan that's new to me, but Pleasant Harbor and then Quill, and then Port Ludlow, was another one.
That one there at Brennan, there's a lot of logs went in there.
Hmm. And
the brow logs are still there. I think they still are.
Oh, I'll be doggone.
Where they dumped them.
Okay. Was that something that, like back then, when you guys were making, I call them short trips, but gee whiz, it still took you ages to get out of the hills. But making shorter trips like that down to the canal, did you still make decent money as a log hauler?
We didn't make enough.
Yeah.
Paid us by the trip.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And I made good money hauling off of Bon John Pass.
Okay.
I was about to go broke.
Wow.
And I got up there, and Bill Broderson was logging.
Sure.
And I was his only truck most of the time.
Hmm.
And It's $35 a load,
Yeah.
and I'd get at least 3 loads a day, and sometimes 4. Boy, that was good money. That's $105 for 3,
Sure.
and got 440. That was good money.
So you were probably, you were probably burning what?
30, 40 gallon of fuel probably.
And what back then that would have been $40 maybe?
I doubt if it was that much.
Wow. It's hard to think of diesel
Yeah.
being, you know, like filling up your truck was $10 or something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was I can't remember what it was then, but it wasn't much. Hell, I'd never even thought about the price of fuel.
Did you ever work at all with Joe Stickney?
No.
Or escapes me now. He had a FMC.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot.
Les
Allen. No, not
No,
Les
not
Allen.
Les Allen.
Les. He lived out here, out at Lake Leland at the time.
Oh, okay.
Les. Yeah.
I think.
don't know whatever happened to him.
Did you work much with him at all?
Yeah, I hauled a lot of logs for him.
Okay. What about like Les Allen's dad when he had the tower side going here in town?
I don't think that was his dad. I think that was his
Oh, uncle?
uncle. Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of Ray Allen.
Ray
Yeah.
is Les's uncle.
Right. Here's another one. Do you remember Sig Anderson from
Yes.
Lillywop?
Yes. I knew him well.
Do you remember much about his operation, the people that worked for him or anything?
I used to, but that was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a logged a unit for Pope and Talbot out toward, he went out of Shelton.
Oh. On Highway 3, you mean?
Yeah. And it was a nice show. Just nice flat ground and great big logs. And he had a big front forklift loader, track loader. And he'd just go out in the woods, pick it up, carry it into the landing.
Wow. Man, oh man.
That was Sig doing that.
I saw, and I don't know how the guy got his hands on it, but he's got Sig's old Skagit Yarder mounted on a military 2.5 or something like that. It's I'm guessing it would probably be about a 1943 or 44.
Yeah.
And it's got his name on the side, Lillywop, Washington.
I think he loaded with that.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people loaded those little yarders on a
Sure.
boom truck.
Wow. That's doing it rough.
End hooks, yeah.
Oh, wow.
We loaded a bunch of logs around Quilcene here because Buck Mountain logged off of their tower. And they had a loading pot on the front of the tower, of the yarder sled with a little motor and a little drum. And it went up, and they ran a slack line off of the tower.
Sure.
Wooden tower. And they made it where it put a block up there. It hang right down over the truck bunk. And that's how they loaded.
Gosh, that sounds like that's doing it rough.
It is.
I bet those guys, when they got into those cable log loaders, thought that was just the best thing ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Buck Mountain used those end hooks for a long time, like longer than they should have, because you had to land the logs. When they came in, you just couldn't drag them up and drop them. You had to lay them beside the brow log. The starter engineer did, and he had to be pretty damn good at that.
Wow. Do you remember much about the guys from Buck Mountain, like Ray Buckman or any of those guys?
Yeah. Maury Anderson, one of my really good friends.
How long was Buck Mountain in business for?
Oh boy, quite a long time. Maury Anderson was a good guy. So was Ray. Ray, he and I had butted heads a little bit once in a while. But Maury Anderson and
Carol Mercer
Carol
was.
Mercer was the other. He was just a bookkeeper, though. He didn't go
Oh.
out. Right.
Sure.
And Maury and Bucky and Ernie Dahlman.
Yeah.
Now, he was a good friend of mine.
Did you get to work much with any of those guys outside of hauling logs for them, or in visiting and whatnot, like work in the woods? Yeah.
No.
Do you remember about what year Buck Mountain dissolved?
It was kind of a slow process, so
Sure.
I don't. They started going downhill when Maury quit.
I seem to recall hearing at some point that about the time Buck Mountain dissolved was about when like Wally Peterson got going. He bought a lot of their equipment from auction.
Yeah, he might have.
And should seem like that might have been late 70s.
It was somewhere in there, yeah.
Did they mostly Forest Service log?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember who built like those roads up over Scar Pass there? Was that Buck Mountain?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah, Maury Anderson and Ernie Dahlman and Ray Buckman.
Now, Irvin Kelly, what you remember of him, did he mainly do road building, or was he kind of a little bit of everything?
He did more logging than he did road.
Oh, okay.
He did do some of each.
And I had been told that him and Walt didn't get along real well. Did they? It seemed like Walt was kind of doing his own thing, road building and logging. But did Irvin work for like the Forest Service, for instance? Or okay.
So did Walt.
Okay.
But between the two of them, Irvin was the best logger, but I think maybe Walt might have been the better bookkeeper.
Businessman type, yeah.
Yeah. But Irwin was a pretty doggone good logger.
Now, did he cat log or was he tower logging?
They didn't have tower then. They
rigging trees.
Rigging trees.
Huh.
Walt or Irwin, either one never had a tower.
Oh, really? Do you remember, out of the two of them, did they have guys from around the area that they hired for working on those jobs, or were they?
Oh, yeah. Walt had a cat skinner lived right down by the old Brennan log dump, and he was a good one. I can't remember his name now. And he had other guys that was steady workers for him.
Yeah.
Walt built a lot of roads up there in the Brennan area, up in the mountains, up Murphy Creek and all that.
Oh, gee, what to me looks like it's not that many, sure, but you look at it and think of all the effort that went into building those roads. Because I was told that pretty much right there at the Interorum cabin on the Duckabush at the 4 Mile, Walt built all those roads from there on back.
Basically, yeah.
And I mean, I've done very little road building, but the thought of getting behind a D8 or an old cable blade dozer and pushing road back in some of that territory, holy smokes.
Walt had a really, really good cat skinner, lived right there in Brennan, right behind the school.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his name now, but he was an older guy and a good cat skinner, good road builder. And he built most of those roads that Walt couldn't run. He run a deal D6 and put it around.
Mm-hmm.
But Walt didn't do much working.
Huh.
But Walt was pretty smart. He bought quite a bit of during the Depression when the land was going back for taxes.
Oh, sure.
Walt bought quite a bit of it then. He still owns it, I guess.
Wow.
It's nice second growth time.
Out of all the different people that you've met over the years and worked with, who do you think was the biggest influence on how you did business or directions that you went in your business ventures?
I think it's just me. I didn't agree with the way Walt Kelly did stuff. He's a good businessman, though. Irwin's a good logger.
Mm-hmm.
But
kind of take bits and pieces from everybody you met and made up your own thing.
Yeah, Ray Buckman was a good logger.
Mm.
Ray Buckman was hands down the best high climber I ever saw. There's might been some guys could beat him running up a tree, but not by much. But when he got up there, he could rig a tree quicker than anybody.
Whew.
Hang the guy lines and all that stuff.
Wow.
He could do it in a day. Hell, it took Walt Kelly a week. No, I'm not kidding.
Wow. How many guy lines did they put up in those wood spar poles?
Usually 6.
Okay. And then a couple buckle guys or something like that?
If it was a too small a tree. A big tree, they didn't even put buckle.
Didn't even worry
about it. They
about
didn't have yarders in it. Had a whole lot of snort.
Sure, that's a good point. The gas engine or a real small diesel or something.
Yeah, Buck Mountain run white engine, gas engines, and they run a barrel of fuel a day.
That was, those were probably flathead motors, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
They had about side one had a big white motor on it.
A big white.
Yeah, and the other one had the small white. No, neither one of them. I think the big white was 180 horse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is not much for a gas motor.
No.
Oh.
Boy, burned gas was the best of them.
Oh, gee, I bet. I talked to a fella here at one point. He had a, I don't know. It was an old, I'm guessing, Skagit mounted on a semi truck with like a 353 or a 453 Detroit or something like that. And he said, and this thing didn't have a cab, but he said they were yarding a turn in, and the guys were getting a little bit too aggressive with it, and asked the yard engineer to tight line it to try and hop over a stump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they hit that stump so hard, it started spinning the drums backwards, and then it killed the motor and started the motor up in reverse.
Oh, man.
And started skinning everything back. I thought, wow, that's doing it rough. But
yeah. Well, when they came out with that automatic transmission for a yarder, Buck Mountain had row. You never heard of them. A row yarder. They had the big row and the little row. The big row had the big white motor on it.
Uh-huh.
And the little row had the little white motor.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But they had automatic. They had I believe it was a Wilson. It's an English transmission out of buses in England. That would one of them you'd air shift it. The other one it was manual, but you just took it like that.
Sure.
And that was they had the slickest. Cause all the other yarders had gears.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what kind of advice have you got for a young person that wants to get into logging, or for an older guy or older woman that wants to get into logging? You got any words of wisdom to pass on to the younger generation?
Yeah, boy, I don't know.
Don't do it.
Well, if I was a younger person, I'd probably start logging.
Yeah.
But first place, don't go in debt over here.
I
have seen guys get going good and get lose control of their spending.
Sure.
And the first thing you know, they had everything back at somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
And I've not just once, I've seen it lots of times.
Yeah.
Gary and I never bought a thing new. We bought good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you bought you couldn't do it now, Wake. If you had to buy a side like we had, if you bought it all new, now it'd be over $1 million.
Oh, gee. Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Easily. That's good advice, though. Don't go into debt over...
Yeah, don't get too carried away.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time, Pat. But I appreciate...
I hope I didn't waste your time.
Nope. I appreciate you talking to me about this stuff. That was fun.